Good morning, friends. Good morning, friends. Good morning, good morning. How are you? How are you? Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi, hi, hi. Hey, Vicky, good morning. Great to see you this morning. I'm so glad you were out and helping out with the clothing. That was terrific. Hi, Donna. I'm glad you're doing well. Yeah, I thought it was really special that they decided to stay working on the coats. We're one of the things we're doing here is, if you don't know, we have partnering with the United Way, and they needed a spot to be able to sort coats that are coming from that are being donated to the United Way, and they'll sort through them, and then they'll go out to folks who need a coat in the season. And so that is. And it's actually an initiative of Burlington Coat Factory, and they're doing a great job with it. And but we have volunteers that come in once a week and sort through, and they weren't going to meet today, and I was like, of course, it's Christmas Eve. Why would you come and meet? And but they actually, and then they decided that everybody actually in the wanted to. So all of the volunteers came in this morning for a while and sorted coats, and I thought it just touched my heart. There's no more beautiful way to bear witness to the birth of Jesus and to prepare a place for him in this world than maybe to keep somebody from getting cold and to offer some care and some hope. So that was really nice. We got to start our morning with that, and Vicky was there. She was one of the folks that was in the sorting game, and so I really appreciate that. Uh, Good morning, Sharon. How are you? Happy Christmas Eve to you too. That's great. Fanny Faye Davis. Good morning. Merry Christmas to everyone. That's great. Irene, glad you're here. Good morning to you too. Hope it's a good day. And John, good morning. Glad you're here. Uh, Vicky, I wish I was rich. Yeah, yep. Yes, I know. I all deal with the material world as we encounter it. That morning, Sherry. Jamie, how are you? Good morning. Happy Christmas. Good morning, Christmas Eve to everybody. Yes, everybody. It's Christmas Eve. Good morning, Linda. Glad you're here. Andy, good morning to you. So glad you're here. And all of your work down there at Corky Row. Hope that's going well. Good morning, Bonnie. Merry Christmas to everybody. Joanne, good morning to you. I hope you're grand. I hope everybody's doing well. So good to hear. I see a few more people finding their way in. We'll let that happen and come in. And just as a reminder, we have services at 4 and 7 today. 4 o'clock will be our family service. We'll be doing the ABCs of Christmas, which we actually did that last year, and it is great. We are rich in our blessings. We are rich in our blessings. We're rich in our blessings of having this time together. I know I keep saying it, but I really do believe it bears repeating that when we kind of gather and see our little digital faces, or we get the chance to interact in this morning and come together, that there is a gift in it. There is blessing in it, for sure. So I am very thankful for all of you that you're in this. So Deb Votrin, good morning, Deb. So glad you're here. Uh, Deb has been one of the has been the ringleader in part of our coat work. So glad she's here as well. So glad you're coming in. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Christmas Eve. Excellent. Yes, and then we have. So thank you for the reminder. Right, I got halfway through that, and then I got distracted by squirrel. All right. So we have a 4 o'clock. We have the family service, which we'll have the opportunity to, which we'll do the ABCs of Christmas, which is a lot of fun. You get to wear a hat. It'll be a good time, and a way of telling the story. And then at 7 o'clock, we'll have our traditional service. So, where we will have candlelight and we will have our sanctuary adorned, and it is one of the more beautiful services of this year. Glad you'll be there, Linda. That's terrific. Um, it's a great tradition, and we've got to see what the weather's doing this year, because sometimes in our tradition is that we carry the flame as it's lit, and we carry it into the world, and we receive the benediction out front. But we'll see how the weather's coming along at that point. We may call an audible on tonight, but so we'll have this, but we will gather, and we will usher in the birth of the Christ child. So welcome every morning, everybody. It is the 24th of December. Can you imagine? We started this in March with this journey together. That it's the 24th of December on Christmas Eve. So I don't know, and I was going to do this from the sanctuary, because our sanctuary is just beautifully adorned right now, and it's our deacons and Denise and Ken and everybody do such a nice job of putting together the beauty of our sanctuary. But I actually wanted to, because I wanted to just note something that is a part of my kind of daily life and our life together, that as we worship or as we gather here in this space in my office. And it is this little thing right over my shoulder. I can't get it right. There we go, right there. I'll go get it in a sec. But it lives there all the time. So as you go back, there are 3 right over here. I can't do this. I can't get it right there. There's 3 icons. And so I want to talk a little bit about icons this morning. I know this might sound funny, but trust me, we'll get there. That I want to talk a little bit about icons this morning. But I want to talk about, in the particular, the one on the outboard side there, which I'll go get you right now. I have 3 icons in my office, and each one of them have a particular significance. This one is this is called the Theotokos. It is its proper name. This image right here is about 800 to 900 years old, at least 900 years old. But there are images going back, and the Theotokos is talked about as early as 1800 years ago. Origen writes about the Theotokos, Mary and child, essentially, but mostly talking about Mary. And I've always loved this image, and that we talk about, and in the Western tradition, this gets talked about as Mary, Mother of God. You've probably heard that somewhere along the line. Now, that's terrific. That's great, and it's not inaccurate. But the thing is that it doesn't really capture it, because when you think about Mary, Mother of God, what you think about is, like, I think about all the momming stuff out there, right? Like, isn't that what you think about? Like, you think about, like, wipe your muddy boots. Like, you think about, like, somebody who makes you hot cocoa when you come home, or whatever, like, when you're out after you've played in the snow or something. Like, you think about these ideas of these traditional images of mothering, of, caring for, and all of that sort of stuff, which is fine. And it's not necessarily inaccurate. But the thing about it is, and this is, again, one of the 3 little images. Now, we'll talk about the images in a sec, because I think that's important to know. But to say that this is one of them, not because I want to always kind of remember that, Jesus had somebody to remind him to take his mittens with him. But that really, when we talk about Theotokos, what this means, what this image means, what it means is Theo and Tokos, that, like, the birther of God, the bearer of God into the world. This is what it's talking about. It's talking about that the image of Mary, and that this image of Mary is not just about all this, the ways that we're mothered in the world. It is this way. It are these ways that you. It is this way that Christ is brought into the world. And this on this Christmas Eve, I have two other icons back there that maybe someday we'll talk about what they say to me as well. But what this always is there to remind me of, and always there to keep in focus of, is that in everything I do, every piece of ministry, every conversation I have, every part and moment of my ministry and my life, I want to be a God bearer. I want to be a Christ bearer. I want to be a Jesus bearer. I want to bring God into the world. And there's an infinite number of ways to do this. And there's an infinite number of ways, not just, and the way that I'm called to do it is different than the way that you're called to do it. That we're all called to be, that at some level we're all called to be Marys. We're not all called to like be the mother of God, to be about the mothering of that's never an image that's really worked for me. But this notion of a birther of the divine into the world. I mean, you think about it, and to me, this is a real practice, and that this icon, which again, so we can talk about that. Like, in many traditions, there are points of veneration. I don't venerate this. I don't, it's a slab of wood. It's a sacred slab of wood, but it's a slab of wood. But what it does is it's a little signpost for me. It's a little arrow pointing up for me. Like, it's a little, look at that. Look there. Look at that little spot right there where God gets brought into the world. Like, can you do more of that? Can you be about that? And so for me, it's a reminder, and it's a signpost to remember that I can come, that I can see it there, and that to know if I'm going to have a conversation with somebody, is that how do I be one who bears Jesus into this conversation? And that's not to just talk, that's not to be all like witnessy about it, of like, have you talked to, have you thought about Jesus Christ as your personal savior to everybody? That's not the point. That's not that. I mean, not that that's a bad question. It's just to say it's not really at the point of the question. It is that we might be ones who bear peace and innocence and gentleness and grace. And we can do that with profound truth, and we can do that with hard things. Some of the most important conversations I've had in my life, some of the most important things that have happened in my life, haven't been easy things or haven't been good things, but they've been, in many ways, they've been transformative things. But how do we bring Christ to be born right smack dab in the middle of them? Right smack dab in the middle of them. And that's one of the reasons that I keep the Theotokos on my shelf, because it is about this whole time. This whole thing is about Christ being born into the world in flesh, in you and I, in the meaty bits of our being. You see, this is, and it's so radically different than what you'll find anywhere else in the world. And I believe it is why Christianity, it is why the truth of the Jesus story has really, I won't say eclipsed, but it has found a voice in this play, in this world, that no other voice will do. That has truly come to be a Savior's voice, because it's born again and again and again into the world, in every interaction, in every moment, in every being, in every desire to do a good job over a crappy job, in every moment that we are God bearers into this world. And I just want to end with that how opposite today, that how opposite that is from what the ancient world was, to how opposite it was. That that because and that because in the ancient world, when you set up a temple, and there are many stories about setting up a temple, that and then in the center of the temple you put your god, and that there was this incredible ritual that went around your god called the opening of the nostrils. Boop. And you actually find it mimicked in the creation story. The creation story is actually a story of the way the ancient pagan people would create their temples. You see, they would take a piece of wood, they'd carve a piece of wood or whatever, or gold or whatever it was, into a particular form, and then they would do this ritual in which they would open the nostrils, and that means the spirit would enter into the idol. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. That it would enter the idol, and that what had happened is when the spirit entered the idol, when the God entered the idol, when the God energy entered the idol, it was then trapped there. And so your job was because then you had to feed the spirit. And so you would buy clothes for it. You would bring it sacrifices and offerings. You would make sacrifices to it. And that was the worldview of how God relationship was largely prior to, in a world prior to the coming of Christ and to the Jewish people. And what happened, and so you have basically God in a box. And that you petition and you take care of your God in the box, and your God in the box then grants you things in the world. It changes the weather, it makes your wife pregnant, it does the things, it does all the things that you need it to do. It is this, and in creation, in the Theotokos, what we get is the inversion of this image. We get God not trapped in the world, not trapped in a box, but unleashed upon the world. We get God active as you and I are active, working on the world as you and I work in the world, alive in the world as you and I are alive in the world. Not one that needs to be fed and tended and all that sort of stuff, but one that clothes and feeds himself and actually goes out and clothes and feeds all of us. This is what was so, when we look at the miracles of Jesus that will come later from this night, it's what makes them so incredible, is that they were miracles that would mimic the things that the God in a box would do, but that they were not contained by you or I. C.S. Lewis, when he writes the great Narnia series, images Aslan, the Christ figure, as a lion that will be unleashed upon the world. And he says, and it is said of Aslan, he says, "Oh, is he a nice lion? Oh, yes, he's very nice. Well, is he tame? Oh, no, he is quite wild." This night, this day, is about the unleashing of God upon the world. The unleashing of that which is good and true and right, the unleashing of that which is true, that which will save us and save all the world in the faith and the covenants and the love of Jesus Christ. And in it we are called to be like, not Jesus, there's one Jesus, but we're called in many ways to be much more like Mary, to be God bearers into this world, to be God birthers in our relationships, in ourselves, in our work, not just in the make sure you take off your muddy boots sort of way, but in the way of giving forth and unleashing a new creation of God upon the earth. That's my hope for you on this weird and wonderful Christmas Eve, when many of us might be separated from those that we love, when many of us might be apart from those that we are, there are still and real ways that we can be bearers of God in this world. We can be bearers of Christ in being. We can be bearers of Jesus to those who need us. I bore witness to it this morning that because of the work that a few people did this morning, somebody's going to be warm this winter that may not have been warm or may have struggled to find warmth, and they may never know that. They will probably never know that. They'll certainly never know the efforts of the person that did it. But what they will know is warmth in the face of coldness. They will know that God was born into the world, even though they may never know the name or the how or the way of the God-bearer that brought it. Friends, I hope on this Christmas Eve you find a way to bear God into this world, to be a God-bearer, to be a God-birther, that we might, you and I, make a space for Christ in this world to be born and to make the great miracles that we once thought were contained or could never do or needed us to do one more thing for them, one more sacrifice, just to do the voodoo that they do so well, but in rather a God that comes to sacrifice for us, a God that comes to love us, a God that comes to heal the sick and the whole and the broken of the world and of us, and to bring us home into the great and beautiful holy city. That is the hope of this night. And that's the story of my little Theotokos that sits on my shelf as a reminder that in my work and in my doing that I should be a God-bearer. And I hope you will be too. All right, friends. That's our journey for tonight. For today, we will be taking a break for this week. I'll have the week off. I'm gonna go spend a little time with my folks and see how they're doing. Also, I have a personal request from you to keep my friend Mike in your prayers. Mike is an old fraternity brother of mine, and he went into the hospital just this morning, and he is his kidneys are shutting down, and nobody really knows what's going on with him. He is very sick, and if you would offer a prayer for my friend Mike, that would be a joy to me. And with that, we'll have a 4:00 service and a 7:00 service tonight, and we will pick up 11:11 on 2021. How about that? All right, friends. Thank you so much for being on this journey. You are a gift. You are a true gift, and you have been in this year a God bearer for me. You have been a birther of Christ, a birther of Jesus, a birther of God right in my own midst. I hope you know that, and I hope you can own that and take that home, and let that little encouragement shine upon the world. All right, peace and grace, my friends.